Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 210 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And that's the finale of the Civil Gore podcast. But just
Forever.
For this year. Yeah, we can't do that to Cody again. She's not going to fall for it anyway.
No.
But
no,
I have to say, we should give her one more shout out because she wrote, she actually, because of her great record keeping, though, it's like we realized actually this time that, like, apparently I must have misread one of the film historians. We doubled down on one of the historians, so he's got two, like, biographies. So either he was cloned, is my theory, or we just, maybe he's just so much, we had to do two description, but we're going to combine him into one description next time. But yeah, I have to say, I enjoy reading Cody's things because they're so funny, because they're funny enough when we're saying them, but I don't think, even though we know how weird it is, I don't think we realize how ridiculous it sounds until we see her transcribe it.
Yes. I just think it's funny just thinking of her sitting there listening intently and transcribing these ridiculous things we come up with.
Yeah, like rewinding back and forth. Like,
yeah.
It's a funny thing. She does it verbatim. We have to implore that to the listeners, because she literally, like, has everything down there. Any little thing we did. She even has the impressions and the quotes. It's great. It's like the best thing.
That is the best. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks again, Cody, for that. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's get right into it. I guess this is our first chop. All right, Brian. So I watched a movie on Shudder recently. I can't say it's a Christmas movie. It's more of a winter movie. It is Screams of a Winter Night from 1979. And Brian, you know how you're searching through Shudder and you come across something like you've never heard of before, some title that you've never seen before, and it just completely takes you by surprise. So you sit down and you give it a chance, and it's like one of those awesome undiscovered gems that you would have never seen otherwise if not for Shudder.
Yes.
This is not one of those movies.
So they
one
made
is
a rare misstep?
This one is bad. So Screams of a Winter Night is an anthology. So I was definitely interested in that.
It sounds right off the bat, though, with that title and that it's an anthology. To me, that sounds like that would be right up your alley, though.
Exactly. And that's why I clicked on it. And so I started watching this thing, and I tell you, the first intro, like the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie is no video. It's all black with like audio in the background. I guess you're supposed to be like, experiencing this orally, as I should, AURALLY, I should say.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant.
But,
because right when you said it, I'm like,
doing a podcast, you would think I would understand the emotional connection of sound and visualizing something without video. But this was like, I actually was checking my TV to make sure something wasn't wrong with the video input, because I could not tell that the movie was actually playing. So finally it gets past all that. It gets through the credits or the opening credits, and it's a bunch of college kids. I'm using that term very loosely, because if any of these people were under 35, I'll eat my microphone. These people were pushing 40 if they were a day.
So it's the KK Sam, like 13 to 35.
Yes, exactly.
So group.
All these guys go to this abandoned camp to like hang out, I guess. It's a bunch of guys, a bunch of girls. I can't tell any of them apart. And they have the typical. They got the nerdy guy. Basically, take the cast of the movie we're doing this feature on. And it's basically
just put him in a bad movie.
Just put him in a bad movie. And so they go to this camp, and I swear to you, I was timing this. All of this, them getting to the camp and getting set up in the camp before they start telling the first story, is half an hour. So you've got 30 minutes of literally watching them, and they're not likable people. They're joking around. They're stupid. And then they finally sit down and they start telling stories by the fire. Okay, now I'm like, okay, now it's going to get good. And I was really intrigued because the first story is about something that looks kind of like a Bigfoot. And the man and the woman go off in a car. The car breaks down because it runs out of gas out in the middle of nowhere. And there's this like gray, silver-haired Bigfoot thing following the guy. And I'm like, ooh, now this is going to get interesting. And it doesn't. They end up taking these stories that are very generic and very like typical urban legend story. I mean, the stories themselves are not even interesting. And somehow making them less interesting than they actually would appear on paper. Like the second story is about
but that takes talent, actually. I think that takes more talent than making something good from something like that. That's
like the second. Here's the other confusing thing. So the people that are at the campground telling and listening to the stories are playing the characters in the anthology stories.
Wait a minute. I may have seen this. This may have been on Amazon at one point. Because it's starting to sound vaguely familiar, especially with the silent beginning, but not the non-silent beginning, like the visually silent, I guess, beginning. This is sounding familiar. I think this was on Amazon a while ago.
It would not surprise me. Anyway, this movie is such a bore. It's 2 hours long. It's every bit of 2 hours. And I
probably didn't finish it then.
I thought it was, I struggled. It was the longest 2 hour movie I've ever seen. So I had to go look up this director. It was directed by James L. Wilson. The only other thing he had done prior to this was playing Santa Claus in a Disney movie called Lefty the Ding-a-Ling Lynx from 1971.
That is a long title.
And then he directed this movie, and then he fell off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to him. He's never directed a movie since. I can understand why.
Well, by your glowing review, he must have really scored high on the Rotten Tomato meter there. And
maybe he's just doing the world a favor, just stepping out of the industry. So, yeah, I got nothing. There's so many really good movies on Shudder. Do not waste your time with this one. As intriguing as it is, and credit to Shudder for the cool poster art and all that stuff, like really suckered me in. But stay far, far away from Screams of a Winter Night.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's already the 2 hour spot. Lately, I've had trouble, like, unless it's like one of these, like, like a Star Wars or an Avengers or Marvel movie like that. 2 hours to me is like, it's too much these days. But horror films at 2 hours are tough. I mean, there's very, very few, if you think about it, that make use of that like, like The Shining or something is that long. But, like, it's, I think Summer is kind of long, but like, it's rare that a movie is worth it at that length when it's like horror, I notice, because I think with horror, unless you're like it's just a work of art, you need a little bit quicker paced, even the slow burn horror movies don't go that long,
No, not typically.
Yeah, so it's like, I think to me, it's like, I mean, granted, if I watch something and it's good enough, I don't care if it's 9 hours long. I mean, something like that, but it's like most of like horror movies are usually under 2 hours for a reason, I think, because they're usually you're able to tell, and horror needs a certain pace sometimes. Even the slow burns, which you and I absolutely love, usually it's slow burn to the ending, which then wraps up quickly. So I think it's that's kind of my thing. So like the 2 hours would have been like, already I would have been like, oh god.
Well, me and Olivia had a date night the other night, and I was like, let's go see what's at the theater, because we haven't been in a little while. We went and saw Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's the last one we saw, but I wanted to go see it, with something without the kids. And everything that I wanted to see was like 2.5 hours long. And I'm like, I can't, I don't want to, that after you go get to the movies, get back from the movies, previews, you're looking at a 3 or 3.5 hour commitment at that point. And I'm like, I can't waste that amount of time on a date night when I've got, Christmas shopping to do and stuff. But it was kind of frustrating, because I'm like, why does every movie now have to be 2 hours and 39 minutes? I'm like, it's too freaking long. I watched James Bond, the latest James Bond, but I watched that at home. And that's a little different.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's a problem there, because I think so many people, we've been so home for so long, and even before the pandemic, just with the ability to stream so much, I think you're used to now that home thing where you can pause, go to the bathroom, stop and, even if there's like a certain part in a movie, you can even like almost do something else, it's like, if you have to. I think it's harder now, like to me, like to go see something in the theater that's long. I mean, like I said, unless it's like a Marvel movie or something, like one of these action-packed
movies. I went to the bathroom 3 times during Ghostbusters. 3 times. I've
Yeah,
gotten
that's because we're men of a certain age, Tim.
Well, that's true, yeah. But I feel like it's also because I've gotten used to being able to just go whenever I want to.
Well, yeah, that's like you like somehow the streaming and pandemic thing kind of broke the movie seal, so to speak. You know, you break that seal when you drink too much. Yes. I think the movies at home now have broken that seal for you. So you go into a theater and you're like I remember like back in the day, I could go in there with like a super big gulp size of soda, drink the whole thing in the first half hour of the movie, and then walk out of the theater and go home and then go pee.
Yeah.
Now it's like I know it's like if I drink that, like the second that movie's over, I'm out the door into the bathroom.
Oh my gosh! So,
I was like nervous. Like I actually, this is I can't believe I'm going to share this, but literally, I almost like there's like this mental training I do before. Like I remember the Star Wars movies and the Marvel movies because those are like especially Avengers Endgame when it was like 3 hours. I'm like, all right, so now I know I need to like prep. I cannot have. I have like if I have coffee that morning, it's like a half a cup, you know.
Yeah, I've got to fast for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's like you have to mentally because you're so used to now being able to see so much at home. It's like it's crazy, but yeah. Nevertheless, now that Tim and I have gone through our prostate issues, so I watched one thing. You know what? I watched this because I don't know what I think it was like. While I had Netflix on, it was, you know how sometimes Netflix will scroll and it'll give you something to watch. So this one popped up and it said it had the actual I guess the French title or dos it said, which you know of course means two. So I guess Spanish film. So I looked it up and it was a very interesting premise. It kind of had like a little like human centipede element. So I thought it was definitely going to be more horror. I mean, it doesn't list horror on IMDb, but I would classify this as horror. I don't know if you heard of this, but it's on Netflix. It's basically it's two people, a man and a woman, wake up naked with their abdomens attached to each other in a bed. Yeah, and so they wake up. That's how the movie starts, and the whole movie is them trying to, figure out what happened. There's almost like I feel like there's a Saw element in there a little bit. Definitely the human centipede by them tied together and they're like stitched together like they basically say it's like they're not just like attached. They're like literally they were opened and stitched together, so they're really stuck. So they can walk around. But and it's like it's weird because there's actually some like somewhat comical moments like where they have to actually they both have to realize they have to go to the bathroom. So that scene is kind of funny as they walk over to the bathroom. But the whole time it unfolds into why they're there, what happened, and I have to say it's definitely different than I expected. I expected it to be a very generic reason why. But there's actually a whole interesting backstory to it. And the movie moves a pretty quick clip. I think it's a little over an hour and a half. An hour and 10 minutes. Yeah, so it's really not that long, but it goes pretty quick. It feels even quicker, and it's actually not bad though. It's pretty good. The one thing I will say is it's one of those where they dubbed it rather than put subtitles on it.
Oh, yeah.
So there's definitely something off with the emotion. I think that may be what led to some of the little more parts that I called quote unquote comedic, because I think that some of the reactions to me whenever you overdub something, it just never.
They never get it completely.
They never get it right.
Yeah.
It's not the same. You're not acting in the moment. So it's like, you're just watching people and then you're kind of overdone. It's like a Mystery Science Theater, but like a professional version of it, It's like, like where they're trying to really do it. But yeah, so definitely check it out though. It's interesting. It's kind of definitely, definitely leans a little towards horror, I would think, just for the fact that, can you imagine waking up next to somebody you didn't know and you're literally stitched to them without clothes on?
Yeah,
so the only stitch you have on is what you're stuck to together. But yeah, so they give that one a shot. The final thing in the one I wanted to do is our good friend Lauren Marie Taylor has gone on to Cameo, so you could I think she has it's decent price. I think it was $40.99. And you could get a message from her. So if you liked her on the show, which I don't know how you couldn't. She was the best when she
was
came on our
awesome.
show.
Yeah.
I mean, what did we have? 3 parts with her on it. She was so awesome.
Yes. She was so cool.
Yeah, so you can get a specialized message from her, and how cool would that be if you have like a Friday the 13th fan out there, and you want to get like someone from like the movies to give them a shout out. I mean, there's only a handful from what I saw of Friday the 13th, and she's one of them, of course. I was right. It's $40.99. So, and she has a funny little video, and only the way Lauren Marie Taylor could do it. It's a typical like.
Well, you know what I love about Lauren Marie? The thing I love about her is even though she was really, I guess, more famous for her soap opera career, she totally embraces the Friday the 13th stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like it's not like she just, that's something I did way back in the day, but I'm really, I'm a soap opera star. She like loves the horror fans. She loves the horror community. She goes to the cons. She does the events. I mean, she totally embraces her role in that film, and she's so super nice about it and open about it and cool about it. I just love that. I mean, I think of her as one of my favorite Friday the 13th, like, whole franchise cast members. She's right there at the top.
She was to me before she actually came on the show. That's why I actually was so excited when she agreed to come on, because I was like, oh my God, she really was one of my favorites all through the time. And she's one that it didn't seem like got enough credit, in my opinion, for how good she was in that. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of great that she's getting a lot of like notoriety these days, and she's really, because I think the anniversary of Friday the 13th Part 2 helped. I think the excitement around Friday the 13th. I can't wait till the day, because I know she'll eventually be at a convention that we can attend. Yeah, because we definitely it'll be a long awaited reunion, so to speak, where we get to meet her in person. Because so I know it's cool. And speaking of that, hopefully, who knows, mate? Because they're supposed to announce some New Jersey HorrorCon guests this week, and it seems like that Friday the 13th is going through a lot of their cons. So that'd be kind of cool if she ended up going to that. That convention.
That would be awesome. That would be amazing. That would like seal the deal on having to go. Right there.
Oh yeah. I mean, to me, I'm pretty much, as it is, I'm already like thinking of just reserving the hotel room this week, because it's almost a guarantee at this point. Mm-hmm. So, but because you can always cancel it. God forbid, you couldn't go or something. But
yeah.
Anyway, right. So check her out, especially around the holidays here. You want a last minute gift for someone, you can't think of for the Friday the 13th fan in your life, and how many Jason masks and action figures can they own if they have them all? So there's a great gift idea.
Yeah, if me and Brian did a cameo, we'd have to pay you to send you a message.
Yeah, it'd be the first ever reverse cameo. I think.
Here, I'll give you $5 if you'll just accept my cameo.
Yeah, can you just let us record a video for you and share it with your friends, and we'll send you $5.99 or something.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, let's get to our feature presentation. This is To All a Good Night. One of the I had never heard of this movie before.
Me either, and I don't know how, because Jennifer Runyon was always someone that was on my radar, actress-wise, And
this is her debut film as well. And I was really surprised, because we've been in this podcasting business for 5 years now? Yeah. And we've done Christmas themes every year, that we never ran across this, because we're always looking for Christmas horror movies that we haven't seen.
and I know we usually Google search like holiday horror films, and a million other ones come up. And I mean, unless this was on a list and we just bypassed it for some reason, because
I mean, granted, it has a little bit of a generic title, but
and a generic description if you look at it.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, this one, and it's actually this was released in January of 1980. So this actually predates Friday the 13th, even though
which while Tim says that, when you watch the movie, you'll see why that's kind of important, because it almost, one could possibly say Friday the 13th borrowed a very specific element from this movie.
Yeah, and this was filmed in 10 days, so it's not like it, this had to be filmed sometime in 79. So I was reading some of the comments on Shudder, like, oh, this is a Friday the 13th ripoff, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
You may want to look who's ripping who off here.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go through the cast.
There's even
here.
a kill that Friday the 13th takes from this, if you think about it, with the axe to the face.
So, you're right. Ooh, actually, there's kind of I could argue almost 2 kills. But anyway.
Oh yeah. And there's also technically, I mean, I know this is not a sure, it's got a cool element. I mean, it's technically not a horror film, but even Raiders of the Lost Ark takes a kill out of this movie a year later. So go figure. Maybe this movie we didn't give it enough credit for all its inspiration everywhere.
I am going by the IMDb date, and that's what it says on Wikipedia. IMDb says January 30th, 1980. If that's the case, this way predates Friday the 13th.
Well, no, think about it. You said it was filmed in 10 days. So literally this thing was filmed in January, too. Well, maybe not necessarily. Yeah, maybe not necessarily filmed in January, but definitely if it was filmed in 10 days, I can only imagine, based on the way this film was put together, probably edited in 4.
Yeah, they probably said, New Year's resolution, we're going to make a slasher film. Yeah. And then,
Quick, did you secure Runyon? Okay, we got her. Boom, we're moving forward.
Done. Let's see. This was directed by David Hess, and I was looking up some of his other, he's only done... directing wise, he only did a documentary short in 2010. What a gap there. To All a Good Night, directed in 1980, and then he did a documentary short in 2010. The rest of the time, he's just been acting. He's more definitely known more for his acting stuff than his directing. He's actually on The Fall Guy too, the TV series. That's cool.
Wow.
And Manimal, and Knight Rider, and Swamp
Manimal. I remember that movie.
Oh, he was
Manimal seems like. That's like almost serial apist territory, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Anyway, so let's go through the cast list here. We got Jennifer Runyon, of course, as Nancy, which now you got a final girl name being ripped off. Forrest.
Oh my God, you're right. What the heck?
Forrest Swanson as Alex. Forrest and Jennifer were dating at the time. Linda Gentile as Melody. William Lauer as TJ. Judith Bridges as Leia. I wonder where they got that from.
Yeah, I know.
Kiva Lawrence as Mrs. Jensen, Wes Buchanan as Ralph, Sam Shamshak as Polanski. That's great.
I love that.
Angela Beth as Trisha, Denise Stearns as Sam, Solomon Traeger as Tom, Jeff Butts as Blake, Bill Martin as Jim, and Jay Rasumny as Dan.
You know what's funny? So, one of the cast members, which I don't know why I didn't list him. I guess because he was a
he's more of a cameo. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Harry Reams.
Yeah,
was in there, and he of course was one of. He was on a lot of porn star documentaries, I guess, right? Or documentaries about the porn. Anytime you watch anything or you hear about the porn, he's one of the people they name. But yet, ironically, Jeff Butts, and that is not a porn star. You would think that's a name that would go, but yeah, no. So it's not 2 porn stars in here. There's just one former porn star apparently in this.
I don't know.
I would
almost argue
Harry Reams his real name, though. I mean,
I would almost argue Sam Shamshak is getting close.
I know.
To porn
that's another one. That's.
But yeah. Anyway, so this is a definitely a very low budget effort. Which I mean, let's be clear. Friday the 13th was also a low budget effort. These were all like really low budget indie films at the time. This one, takes place entirely at this mansion in California. And
which that's what was funny. Julie, when she saw me watching it, she goes, wait a minute, that's a dorm? That's like a sorority house? That thing looks like a really big mansion somewhere.
Yeah, this is like the nicest sorority house ever.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes with like a lady that cooks for them and or is she just there temporarily?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess.
And who's the cannoli lady? The friend that comes by? Just anyone can just drop into apparently this, but yet it's isolated enough that you require a seaplane to get to it. I can't figure that part out.
Yeah, why would you have a sorority house that requires a plane to get to?
Yeah, I mean, or was that just I couldn't tell if they were trying to say that was the only way to get to, but obviously there's a cannoli shop somewhere on the island or town because that one woman just randomly shows up and says, "I brought cannoli."
It can't be an island though. There's no way this is an island.
No, they can't. Well, I'm guessing there's got to be a college somewhere nearby. Well, people are like driving in and picking up their kids and then for some reason that like this movie has got a lot of odd sequences put together. Like I have a feeling that some of the scenes, the reason why it was shot in 10 days is because sometimes they just kind of said, okay, just do something. Because there's like in the beginning, there's just random shots of picking up people, and there's one father screaming about his 50-yard line seats in a game, which reminds me of my dad. Like when there's a game on and he wants to get back for something, he's screaming, the game. But and then the one girl just decides to do like weird like poses like in front of the sign. I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah,
this movie very odd start to it. I mean, well, it actually shows the first death in the film is like one of those flashback deaths.
We'd be remiss to not. Yeah, there's a very short flashback.
Very short. I mean, it's like within like literally like I think it's not even 30 seconds.
Yeah, we're like a group of sorority girls accidentally kind of are basically hazing this other girl and end up basically forcing her off of a balcony and she falls to her death. So that's what you get as the flashback. So you know that has something to do with it. Although it was so brief, I'd totally forgotten about it till the end of the movie. Then I was reminded of it.
Yeah, they probably should have made it longer or have maybe another reference or two throughout it. But
yeah. I tell you the biggest. I noticed the biggest flaw with this movie, and I noticed it immediately after that flashback sequence, is they really didn't show the death. I mean, they showed the girl falling off the balcony, but there was no shot of the bloodied body. Or maybe there was a quick shot, but there was nothing too very gory or anything about it. And that kind of holds through the rest of the movie. Like the kills are very tame, very, very tame. There are some cool kills which we'll get to.
Yeah, there are some neat ones.
But compared to other slashers, you're don't expect to go into seeing a lot of cool kills. You might see them. A lot of them occur off screen, or you might see the aftermath, but you're not seeing a lot of cool special effects here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of scenes where you see kind of like you can tell what happened by showing it like blood splatter in certain spots, so it's kind of obvious. And there's a couple where they actually, you could tell the ones where they put a lot of budget towards.
Yeah.
Like that axe to the face one.
But anyway, these girls, they decide they're going to invite a bunch of boys in by seaplane.
Yeah, by seaplane.
Was it Amazon deliver boys by seaplane now? It was so weird. I guess one of them was a
Can you imagine that? It's like it's prime delivery, like boys on the seaplane. Plus, that like seemed like how many guys came on that plane? Like only 3, right? Because I was like, those planes are tiny.
Yeah, I think it was only 3 in the pilot.
Right. Okay. So you can fit 4 in that. Okay.
Yeah,
I think you can fit 4.
So
I've been in one of those tiny planes before, and there was only 3 of us in there. But
they're terrifying, aren't they?
Oh yeah, this was bad. Especially when you're like literally like you're like there's really nowhere to move. You're like stuck in that sitting position once you're in there.
Yeah, my dad used to have a friend that was a pilot, and when I was a kid, and he took us up in his plane a couple of times. And that's when I was a kid and didn't know any better to be terrified. And
right?
I think back on it now, and I'm like, oh my god, I would have never done. I'd never do that today. No way.
Yeah, today I'd have trouble doing it. I was in college then, so at that point I was like, oh, this is a cool story. I can videotape, because I was in film school, so I'm like, oh, I can video record me flying over our house, And...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not scared of commercial flying at all, but
no, not that. Just like those small little tiny
the small ones,
plane things, yeah.
But anyway, so the girls they hatched this plan that they're gonna basically drug the house. What do we call her? The house mother?
I guess that, the house mother. I don't know. Is she, but they drug her with milk.
This was the grossest thing, because I will tell you guys, I don't like milk. I've never liked milk since I was a kid. I don't drink milk. I don't even drink chocolate milk. I will drink a milkshake, but that's as far as I'll go with milk. And especially, God knows, I won't drink warm milk. That sounds disgusting to me.
Yeah, how did that become a thing? Like throughout, like historically, like to go to sleep, is it because you just want to go to sleep to like not remember you're drinking warm milk?
I don't know. It just sounds gross. So anytime people drink milk in anything, it grosses me out. And so they decide to drug the house mother with some warm milk. And this girl is so obvious of what she's doing. But the girl that's playing the girl that's drugging she was like I guess you could call her like the PJ Souls from Halloween type character. She's the goofy one. She's like over the top.
She was the one that made the weird like pose.
Yeah,
in the beginning when people were driving around.
Like my daughter would say, she's very extra. So
yeah.
she's
Oh, yeah. No,
very
she's
extra.
like all kind of extra. And I will say, I give her this though. She's extra all the like through and through in the movie. She does take an unexplainable turn to
Yeah.
towards the end there. That doesn't like her character gets really even weirder somehow. But
and we also have to point out Mr. Wes Buchanan, who plays Ralph, who is this guy is the best. He wears one of those red like hillbilly pajama tops.
Yeah. Did those come pre-stained like when people buy them? Because there's always something on them in movies.
Did I ever tell you when I bought some of those?
No, you had one?
Yes. So, I don't have it now, but so my brother used to live in Boone, which is up in the mountains of North Carolina. And so we went up there to visit him one time, and they had this shop that had those honest to God authentic red hillbilly pajamas with the butt flap that buttons down.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I've got to have a pair of these. Like it just
Well, that would be
called
the
me.
ultimate souvenir you have to get from there.
Yeah, and I was like, I've got to have, like, this is so dumb that I want this. Like, where else am I going to find some authentic hillbilly pajamas with the butt flap? So I bought them. Well, then I get them home, and I find out they're too small. But I started wearing them anyway, because it made it even funnier, because they're, like, super tight on me.
Oh my
God.
God.
I used to walk around with this, and Olivia would get so mad.
Were you like pretending you were like Hillbilly Jim from like WWE?
Oh, I loved it. It was so, yeah. It was something. I probably looked something like that. But so he wears the top of this thing, and he's got like those curly perm, and he talks really Southern, and he's very religious. And so
what was the line he said? He goes, he says like, oh yeah, they're here for pleasure.
Yeah,
like
because she's asking about the plants, and he goes, plants were put on this, plants were put here by God, something like they're here for our pleasure.
Yeah, but he says pleasure, pleasure. But, and also the funny thing is, why is, like, no one finds him creepy that he's just wandering and entering, like, young college girls' rooms without like, any kind of knocking or anything, and nobody finds anything wrong with that?
I think they find him 80s creepy, which is
acceptable.
Yeah, like, oh, he's just harmless crazy. Like, I mean, I feel like
he happens to be a very good guy in it. He's not a bad guy.
No,
he doesn't make a. We will say, okay, spoiler alert, I guess, because they. I have a feeling they attempted to set him up as the red herring as the villain or something, but I guess I'll spoil that. He's not. He's actually a really good guy through and through, and he actually really cares about them.
I think I think when you look back on these 80s films, a lot of stuff that these days would be like downright sexual harassment is kind of brushed off as harmless. Now, but the thing is, now he doesn't actually do any kind of sexual harassment. I don't want to imply he's not creepy. He's just
I think he
eccentric.
Really looks at the girls as like his, like, he wants to protect them. He's very religious, so he's like looking at, like, I don't think he had a deviant thought in his head, no matter how creepy he sounds.
I thought it was also interesting that he gravitated towards Nancy, which is the Jennifer Runyon character, who we know is set up to be the final girl. We kind of know that she's, but that's an added layer of how we know she's being set up to be the final girl, because he kind of takes her aside, because I think he understands that she's less of a goof off than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And he knows he can kind of get through to her.
Yeah, well, and also this movie follows those slasher rules tropes to a T. The good girl is going to be the final girl. Anyone is going to drink, do drugs, have sex. I mean, you're all pretty much doomed. It's like it follows. It really. I mean, it probably helps. Enhance those slasher rules. That we're doing, because it was still early on in the 80s slashers. I mean, as early as you can get, pretty much January 1980. I mean,
well, speaking of the sex thing, I got confused because the nerdy guy, who's like never had sex before, he ends up getting seduced by the more, let's say, the promiscuous one in this, and so they're getting it on. But then he comes out of that like all cocky and confident. And then he starts going after Jennifer Runyon's character, right? So I was getting all kinds of confused. I'm like, who is this guy really with? And then I realized, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. They're all with each other. They're all kind of just trading off whatever.
Yeah, they kind of trade off. It's like that seaplane full of men were just like it really was like it was like an assortment that they ordered from Amazon Prime. Yeah,
it was a variety pack.
It is. They just like all arrived, and whoever grabbed it first got. But I don't think he was really like into the other girl. I mean, he really got like he was first he was talking about all these nerdy things. Remember that? And then comes out after his day, he's like, I think the Reds are gonna win the World Series or whatever. It's like it's so stereotyped. It's like, okay, now that he has sex, he's into sports.
I love that. I literally laughed out loud when he did that. That was the best thing ever.
Yeah, and they even joke about it. They even say, "Oh, what? Now you're all of a sudden like." Well, I haven't heard you talk about sports ever, or something. It's kind of funny. Like this movie, I think knows what it's doing somehow. It's like at some level, to say like almost knows what like 20, 40 years later people are going to be like talking about it in that way. You know, it's like.
Well, the thing is, this movie, it's not a good movie, but it's things like that make it watchable and entertaining. Like I laughed so much during this movie. Not necessarily because it was intentional, and not because it was, I don't even want to say because it was like so bad it was funny. I genuinely laughed because I was entertained. Like it was an entertainment laugh. I thought that whole line of him doing the sports thing was hilarious. I'll go ahead and point out one of the best kills in the movie. There's a kill where a couple are having sex, and the killer basically puts I guess that's an arrow, a crossbow or something, like through the back of his head.
Another Friday the 13th kind of.
Yeah, that was from
another later Friday the 13th.
But that was actually a pretty good effect, and it made me laugh because it was. I guess I just wasn't expecting it. But then right after that, there's a suit of armor that the killer's hiding in, and they chop the girl's head off. Is it the girl or the guy's head off? I can't remember. But
the girl's, yeah.
Yeah, it chops the girl's.
The guy got that thing through him, so.
Chops the girl's head off, so. I don't know, that 1-2 punch just made me laugh. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, it's kind of funny because most of the time the killer is in a Santa Claus suit, and then all of a sudden he or she gets creative there.
And hides in the armor.
And hides in armor all of a sudden. And why is like there just a random room of armor, like an armor randomly in a sorority house anyway?
Because it's a mansion sorority house. I don't know. It's so weird. But so. Yeah, of course, people start getting off one by one. But the thing that really struck me that was hilarious is, so they realized that Ralph got murdered, right? And so the whole time, I mean, there's been an actual murder in their sorority house. Did you not think their reaction was extremely relaxed and cavalier that an actual murderer was running loose in their house, basically, or in their area? I mean, they had this dismissal, like, especially now, I guess in hindsight, I can kind of see why some of the characters were a little more dismissive because they were actually doing the murder. But yeah, I thought it was just kind of funny that I was like, I would be getting the first seaplane out of there.
I know. I'd be like, I'd order something else on Amazon and kind of just jump back. And well, actually, the plane was still there.
The plane was still there. The poor pilot got left behind. He wasn't allowed to come on the.
He must have been Paul, like in that American Gothic movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, there's definitely some like that's the thing with this movie is like you there's so many obscurities in there that like back in the 80s just make so much sense, but like now it's just pure entertainment, I think, and like like you're right, it's like. There's one scene I just don't understand the shot blocking on this is weird. There's a scene where I guess it's Jennifer Runyon's character, that guy and that other girl are left, and she's like literally in a corner on a shelf, kind of behind them, sitting there. And it's like I'm like, why is she like curled up like she's like Elf on a shelf? You know, it's like what is she doing sitting there? And the thing, like I guess they're all trying to like. That was the visual interpretation of, okay, let's all stick together. But, I mean, they took it to the nth degree there. I mean, she's able to climb on their shoulders. But, and also I will say, like, Tim and I were joking about this, too, like, through our text feed. It's like there seems to be a lot of inexplicable dancing and milk drinking.
There's a lot of milk drinking.
Way more milk drinking than you could, like.
Like
than you would expect in your average horror film.
There's a point where Jennifer Runyon's like walking around with what appears to be like a wine glass or a margarita glass full of milk, which just really disturbed me on multiple levels. I just didn't like that at all.
Yeah, it just seems like, I mean, I get they're trying to say she's like so virtuous that she only can drink milk and like while everyone else drinks alcohol, you know, and
I don't know, and we also have to talk about how the cops do show up to try to solve this mystery.
That coat, the plaid coat with the detective, though, that's like.
But even the cops are getting it on with the girls.
Yeah. I mean, what kind? Literally, what is this? It's like, is there some weird seaplane sex ring going on here, like in this college? What is really? I don't. I tell you, I don't know.
Yeah, it was bizarre, but that's the kind of stuff that keeps you guessing in this movie. Like every time you will not get bored during this movie. Unlike the movie I talked about in the first chop, you will not.
Yeah, pretty much. Here's the thing, right? When a character arrives on the Amazon seaplane, they either dying or have sex with one of the girls. Pretty much, there are only two choices.
Yeah, either way, it's entertaining. So I just
you can bring cannolis. That's the rare option. But that's if you're already on the island, supposedly.
But Ralph doesn't know what cannolis are. So
yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, I love that. He's like so innocent. Like, what's a cannoli? You know, it's like I swear to God, if this was like modern day movie, you know there'd be a T-shirt for sale on Fright Rags that said like, "What's a cannoli?"
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Like this movie, I feel like it has probably been overshadowed by a lot of 80s slashers, and you know maybe for good reason because the kills aren't great. Like we said, the kills are pretty lukewarm, pretty mediocre. So I can kind of understand that, but in a lot of ways, like I feel like this is a little underappreciated, I guess, just from the entertainment value of it.
Yeah, but yet Shudder found it and put it on there. Yeah. So I'm hoping more people do it. Like I told Amanda, she's on Mandy Morg, she goes by on socials. She was saying how she was only had seen a couple of holiday horror movies at this point, late, which is bad or rare for her late in the season to only watch two. And I told her about this one, and she hadn't heard of it either. And she sees a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So she even said, I told her, I said, "Oh, you should check this one out. It's on Shudder." She goes, "Oh, I never heard of this one. I'll check it out." So I'm glad. See, this is where Shudder succeeds with things like that because this is a movie that obviously it escaped us for literally 5 years of doing this podcast. Every year we search for the holiday horror films. This one never seemed to have come up, and it's funny because there's so many movies with like that kind of a title from the
it's still a Christmas
the
song
night
lyric
before Christmas because I think there's All the Creatures Were Stirring, which is the Rebecca McKendry one. There was All Through the House, which was another one that I watched. I think it's on Shudder also.
At some point you'll be able to put them all together and recite the entire poem.
I know, right?
Movie titles.
Well, that would be a really cool anthology to do. Literally, like a Christmas horror movie that each line references like part of the horror movie.
That's
like
cool.
little short segments, like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah,
kind of similar to Rebecca McKendry's one, where she, her segments are pretty on the short side. But that's a good movie. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah,
that one's it's got a good cast too in it.
So we're gonna do something we've never done before here on Civil Gore, and I'm actually going to play the song that whatever the guy's name was. Yeah. I don't remember which character he was. Plays.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, I think he's just one of the Amazon assortment guys.
He's one.
But he's the musical one in the assortment.
So 18. Yeah. If you want to follow along, roughly 18 minutes into this film, he plays the following song that I'm about to play you. Yeah. Which I looked to see if it was an actual song, and I could not find it anywhere. So I think this is just something he made up for the movie.
Yeah, I can't imagine this was a real song.
So, and I'm gonna. I am going to. This is a reproduction of the musical number of "To All a Good Night."
If you could call it a musical number, but yeah,
a very brief musical number of "To All a Good Night," performed live on air. By me. Okay, so are you ready, Brian?
I am ready.
All right.
I've been waiting for this all week since right. you announced that you learned the song.
So I gotta remember the lyrics. It's only 2 lines.
I think there's like 6. So
there's like 6 words in the song. I gotta remember them. All right, here we go. Vagabond, Tell 'em what it is to run away. Vagabond. Running only makes you see. Running only makes you see. Your answer is another lonely day. I don't sing so good.
And just so everyone knows, that line is also in the movie.
Yeah.
Tim, that was a great foray into. See, that's what you'll get when we do that eventual musical episode.
Yes.
Although I think we'll definitely have to have Jeff Whitmire choreograph our entire musical episode.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So anyway, you heard it here first. If we ever get any more movies with musical numbers, I will try to learn them. So
that might have to be a whole new bit altogether.
All right. Well, Brian, I would say, I guess, closing thoughts on To All a Good Night. I really enjoyed this one. It's not a great movie, so don't get me wrong. It's not going to be a hidden gem slasher classic that you were looking for. But if you just want an entertaining, go in with the right expectation, I guess. Go in with the kind of just goofy expectation. This is just a crazy early 80s slasher film that somehow has nods that other movies took from it, and or came to the same, magically came to the same kills and twists as this one did. And I think you'll have a really good time with it. Just kind of embrace the goofiness of it, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I just wish I could find out more about that song. Like, it doesn't say anything about it.
I know. I think it's like the thing in Phantasm, where that song in Phantasm where they just kind of made it up on the spot.
Yeah, it has to be, right?
By
the way, in Spain, this movie is called Feliz Noche Buena. Or Noche Buena. Sorry, Feliz Noche Buena. I like that title.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah, in France, it's Terreur dans la nuit.
That doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but...
Yeah, no, that one's tough. But, so that, overall, I feel the same way. I think that was definitely a fun film. Definitely watchable. Is it going to be a yearly watch? I don't know. It may be in maybe not the normal way as like a Black Christmas would be, but I don't know. I could definitely see myself watching it and showing it to other people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is a show other people movie for sure.
Yeah, this is one you might want to put on the back of a Christmas party or something.
Yeah. All right, Brian. So what did we have for our beer pairing for To All a Good Night?
So I found one. It's called Christmas Morning, and it's an Imperial Milk Stout with spices and coffee. So I think that's perfect with the amount of milk that's consumed or used as a drugging tool in this movie. It's by Hardywood Park Craft Brewery in Richmond, Virginia, which, in that Richmond area, there's that great brewery. I like Answer. Remember, I brought you some beers from when we did the Busch Gardens thing. That's a great brewery. That's in Richmond also. So Richmond might have a couple of gems here. So I have to try this one out next time I'm there. This one's 9.2%, so that's strong.
Right.
But those stouts tend to be, especially Imperials. But I love a good milk stout. A nice heavy milk stout especially around the winter time. But the description it says Hardywood Christmas Morning lends a cheerfully heightened decadence to our gingerbread stout through deep conditioning on locally roasted Blanchard's Coffee Company coffee beans. Hints of sweet honey and oven-baked gingerbread greet the comforting nuances of freshly brewed morning coffee in this Imperial Milk Stout. Skip the leftover cookies and milk and awaken your senses with a delightful holiday tradition.
That sounds good. I like that.
And then when you're done with it, you say, I don't drink so good. But no.
I've gotten more into teas lately. I'm a big coffee guy. I always have to have my morning coffee, but there's a great little spice and tea store downtown Wilmington that I absolutely love.
Oh, we were there, right?
Yeah, you went there.
Julie still got some stuff from there, actually.
Yeah, and they just have. If you guys ever see those places, Cape Fear Spice and Tea Merchants, and you walk in there and it looks like something out of Harry Potter. Like they have these cubbies of all these different teas and different spices as well. But it looks like they're almost like magical ingredients in the wall.
It does. I feel like what's that? What is it? Madam Sprout is going to come out.
Yeah, It really does look like something out of Diagon Alley. And but they have so many good teas there. I just got an Irish black breakfast tea. breakfast black tea, and it is super strong, but it's really, really good. I'm really starting to get into the tea thing because the coffees, I've just come to find I don't really like the flavored coffees. Like they just never really, unless you really dress them up with some cream and sugar. The flavored coffees you don't get the flavor necessarily.
So I will say, if you ever make it to the Bay Area, or actually technically DC has some locations too, and I believe Chicago is Phil's Coffee. That's a place I rave about. I love it from California. So I'm already looking forward to next week when I get my first cup of Phil's. It's they actually make the cup of coffee one cup at a time. It's one of those like drip places.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like, and the best thing is they'll make it and they have you try it. And if you don't like it, they'll remake it for you.
Oh, wow.
And if you get it Phil's way, it's basically use some kind of condensed milk. It's like kind of some condensed milk blend and a little bit of so it's like you don't really need much sweetener in it. I think they put a drop of sweetener in there. But anyway, they make it perfect. If you get a Phil's way, and you can really taste the flavors. And they have a ton of great flavors. My favorite, the one I always get, usually at least one of the times. I mean, I think I've tried them all now, but the one I always get is this Jacob's Wonder Bar, which is it's a dark roast. It's dark chocolate, smoke, and nuts is the flavor.
Oh, wow.
And the flavors actually come across. You know what? You can order it online, but you know what? Maybe I'll try and pick you up a bag when I'm there, and I'll just send it to you because you'd really like this. There's one called Gratitude, which is candied orange caramel warming spices, and
wow.
I have to say they do such a good job of giving you the flavor that's described there. You actually get in that coffee.
Yeah, that's
really
rare.
get the flavor of it. So there's some really good ones. There's one. Wait, what's the one that I get? And Julie, I'm surprised surprised I like it. But well, there's one. Another one is Ether, which is toffee, cherry, and cinnamon.
Oh gosh.
But wait, where's that one that there's actually one called Julie's Ultimate, which is it's funny. That's the one she gets too. Sometimes it's toast, berry, and vanilla. But here, this one of their famous is Philharmonic, which is cardamom, maple, and earth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it's really got like that kind of exactly what it sounds like flavor. So yeah, I'll have to get you some of this coffee and send it to you.
Yeah.
The only problem is I notice when you buy Phil's home, if you don't grind it the way they grind it, you want to almost get it pre-ground.
Mm-hmm.
But then of course it doesn't last as long. You got to drink it faster. But because they grind it almost to perfection, so it doesn't always come out as good when you bring it home. But when you get it from the Phil's location, oh my God, it's like every day. It's like they're so trained to make it so perfect. I always say people, like one of my friends was saying the other day, I'm like, oh, coffee's coffee. I said, well, no. I said, I disagree. I said, coffee's coffee unless it's Phil's.
I'd have to try that because I love.
Yeah, I
coffee.
definitely go to. Well, if you're ever in DC area, next time you can. There's 2 locations actually in the DC area. Go figure. I'm praying it comes to New York at some point, but I don't know. I think I'd be a long shot for now. But
anyway, to say all that's kind of why I've been gravitating towards tea, because tea you really get that strong flavor,
right,
right out of the gate. So that's kind of where I'm headed. I'm doing more teas at night than in the morning because I still like my morning coffee. But we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you up to date on
I usually have to wake up with coffee, but I like to go to bed with tea. Yeah, I just have one. I've had one of the Harney and Sons. It was this one that Julie got. It's like a lavender mix. I just had it now because it's been so it's like New York's a little chillier, so it's like my sinus always is acting up. So it's like there's a chill, so I crank up the heater, which then dries out the room, and then, so by the end of the night, my throat is like all dry. It's like nice soothing tea for the podcast. Always seems to work.
Yeah, it keeps those dulcety tones.
Yeah, which I don't have as it is. So yeah, but Tim's tea works overtime to keep him dulcety.
All right, well, let's get to our triple threat from last week. We were looking for an actor or actress, and the answer was Kylie Richards.
Yes.
So clue number 1.
One of our favorite of one of our good friends, Emily Sweet.
Yes.
She was very excited. I gave her a preview of that one.
I thought this was a really good one. Clue number 1.
Yeah.
I played a surviving character in a very popular slasher film and was able to reprise the role over 40 years later. Of course, Kylie played little Lindsay Wallace in Halloween 1978 and also in Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends in 2021 and 22. Clue number 2, I was part of one of the most viral memes of the past few years. Kylie is pictured in the famous Screaming Woman at Cat meme, one of my favorites. Trying to calm down Taylor Armstrong, a.k.a. the Screaming Woman.
Yeah, I mean, she's not the screaming one. She's like right to the side. She's
Yeah.
like, you see her in the side.
And as many times as I've seen this meme, I did not realize that was Kylie Richards. Because
it took me a while to realize who it was.
I mean, I would have known if I'd watched the show that the meme came from, but I didn't.
Right.
Yeah. Clue number 3, I was on several episodes of Little House on the Prairie and played 2 different characters. Now, this one I did know, being a big Little House on the Prairie fan. Kylie Richards played the part of Alicia Sanderson Edwards on Little House on the Prairie. She also appeared as Samantha Harper in the season 5 episode Someone Please Love Me, episode 22.
Yes.
So I'm working my way slowly through that entire series. I don't really binge it as much as I've seen a lot of them so many times. I can't tell you I've seen. I've probably my biggest gap is the later seasons where like Laura's grown up and she's a school teacher and stuff. I don't think I've seen a lot of those. But I'm slowly.
Didn't she get married to like what's his name?
Yeah, she gets married. Like it gets
the blonde dude with the long hair. What's his name?
Oh gosh, dang, I didn't put me on the spot.
In the show, I forgot his name.
Yeah,
he has like didn't she always refer to him as like his full first and last name in the beginning?
Probably.
Of like when she met him or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
She always referred to him as and now it's gonna drive me crazy. Great.
Yeah, those are entertaining.
I'll leave it to Civil Gore to have you looking up IMDb Little House on the Prairie in the middle of an episode.
Well, I'll continue on with our triple threat this week while you're looking that up, and we are looking for another actor or actress. So listen carefully. Clue number 1. While I've been in several well-known horror movies, I may be best known for my role as a reporter. Clue number 2. I starred in the original film that had not 1 but 2 remakes. And clue number 3. I once starred in a film in which the main location may not have wanted me there. I think this is another fairly easy one for you guys.
Yes, I think it was good. Oh, so I think it was Almanzo Wilder.
Almanzo, yeah, that's it. That's right, yep.
And didn't she call him, kept saying Almanzo Wilder when she first met him?
Possibly.
I think she called him by his full name. I don't know. My Little House on the Prairie knowledge is definitely not up to yours and Kev's, but I do remember when it used to be on every night, like weeknights. I think it was like on 5 to 6.
Yeah.
So it was always what I watched right before we had dinner.
Mine pales in comparison to Kevin because he's seen like all the episodes multiple times. Like he could tell you exactly like the name of it and everything. I'm not even anywhere close to his level of fandom for that show.
I feel like that's his next podcast. Once if the Harry Fox and Foxhounds ever runs its course, I think that's where he's going.
I would love that. There was a podcast I used to I actually did listen to a Little House on the Prairie podcast for a while there, and it was a woman. She was by herself. She just did it solo. But it was hilarious because she would basically recap every episode, but like in a very funny way. Like she would like criticize the characters and stuff, and it was hilarious. But I ended up, I stopped listening to it because it was like, I felt like I had to watch the episode and then listen to the podcast kind of thing. And it just got too time consuming, so I dropped it, but it was pretty funny. There's a bunch of them out there.
Yeah, and just to tie it back to horror, of course, Melissa Sue Anderson starred in Happy Birthday to Me. So there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, all right. Now we can relax. We've tied it all back around.
Yep, got it all back.
All right.
Okay.
We have a new fan topic food listener question. This was from David McHugh, and I was telling Brian before we started recording. This one may have stumped me. It seems such a simple question. Actually, may have stumped me. What's something you resent having to pay for?
Yeah, I kind of came up with one quickly just because, I mean, I get why I do because of the cost to run, but I kind of always, I hate when they charge you, extra for like extra storage space on like in the cloud or something. And I resent paying for it because I realize that I wouldn't need it if I was just more efficient in putting my stuff on my own storage thing, but like since I'm lazy and I want my photos don't get erased, I pay for the extra like $2.99 for a cloud. Now I don't know if that's what he meant by this, but I didn't know if he meant like was it a purchase that like we bought a movie like let's say Paul Blart 2 or something, like I don't know if he meant that. I assumed he meant just because this is a segment that doesn't have to necessarily tie into horror per se. So
yeah, so. I mean, I can't use that. To me, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from because you're saying I resent having to pay for it because it's kind of my fault that I'm not efficiently. I mean, me being an IT brain, I'm going, yeah, but servers cost money, and that.
Oh yeah, that's why I said.
Yeah.
That's why I did preface it with saying like I get why it's
Yeah.
a charge.
It's just
I just resent it because it's really my own doing. If I just was more efficient and was more like paid more attention to what I'm downloading and what I need to keep really and what I don't need to keep.
Yeah, this one's tough, man. Because I'm not one of those that like whines about having to pay taxes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, would I rather not pay taxes? Sure, but at the same time, I realize I'm taking benefit of stuff that costs money. It costs money to have roads to drive on that are decent. It costs money to have this and that. So there's not. I was trying to think of any example of something that I truly resent having to pay for. That I feel like I'm. To me, that means I feel like I'm unfairly being charged for something that deserves to be free.
I have a suggestion because it kind of irritates me a little bit. How do you feel about when you go to and I understand again there's a reason because they charge the vendors, but like when they charge you extra fee to use a credit card versus cash. How do you feel that? Do you resent that at all? Because sometimes it bothers me, especially when everything you're so used to everything being online and a purchase away. So I think today less and less people are carrying cash.
Yeah, I don't know. Even that one doesn't bother me that much, really.
Well, yeah, and he actually said resent. So yeah, it has to be like really.
There's nothing I have any deep seated anger about having to pay for. Like if that's what it costs, I pay for it. If it's not worth it to me, I just don't buy it. That's the kind of thing. I guess that's the thing. Like, there's nothing I could think of that I have to have that I go, man, I'm so mad. I have to pay for this. Maybe the only thing, and this is like really kind of, I mean, this is pushing it here. The only thing I could think of would be some of the HOA fees, but even that I understand because here's why my example, because I went through this whole house hunting thing, and the only thing that kind of bothered me was you'd come to some neighborhoods that have a pool, so they got a swimming pool, all right, that everybody in the neighborhood can enjoy, and their homeowners fees are X dollars a quarter or whatever, and I can see that, okay, because you got to keep up the pool, you got to keep up the landscaping, blah 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 blah. And then you come to another neighborhood like the one I'm living in now, which has no pool, and their homeowners fees are X, and you're still paying the same amount, but you don't get a pool.
Did they say we got a pool and a pond? The pond's good for you.
Yeah, but then even then, I'm not really resentful because I do know that the homeowners fees are going towards the upkeep of the ponds, the upkeep of the landscaping, the upkeep of the roads, that kind of thing. Now, I am kind of mad right now because my fountain in my pond is not working, and it's been broken for about a month. And they say they're trying to fix it, and they keep saying they're going to fix it, and it's still sitting back there not fixed. And I'm basically paying homeowners fees for a pond that doesn't work. So that I'm kind of mad about right now, but they'll fix it eventually because I'm going to
right in theory.
Them, yeah.
How do you feel about bag fees?
Like airline?
No, like, well, yeah, actually, now that you said it, that is kind of annoying, but I get it, because they need to recoup from the losses. But, no, I meant, like, like if you go to a store and you forget one of your reusable bags, and they'll charge you, like, 10 cents to use a paper bag.
We don't have that down here.
Oh, you don't? Okay, so here we do, and, like, for Target, like, they actually charge you ahead of time.
What?
Like, if you order it, online, if you order for curbside pickup, they'll charge you, like a 50 cents because they think you're going to use 5 bags. Whatever you don't use, they credit back to you.
I've never heard of that.
I mean, here's the thing. So I am all for recyclable bags. Julie and I have a whole set. We bring our own, but every once in a while, you're rushing and you forget to bring the bag. But and it's just like this, like kind of like they'll charge you. Like there's times I'm literally walking out of the store because I just refuse to pay 10 cents because I forgot the bag, so I'll just be carrying like 6 items in my hand and just throw them in the truck. But
I don't think we have
just
that.
because I hate paying for something that's stupid on my part. Like I made a mistake.
I know one thing I kind of resent paying for, now that I think about it, is tipping, and not because I'm and let me preface.
No, I know where you're going with this.
I'm going.
I agree. Yeah,
because I'm a good tipper. I always tip 20%. Period.
Yeah.
That's minimum.
Oh, yeah.
I always tip 20% minimum.
And I do 20% on, after tax. So like you
Yes.
actually technically even it goes higher because I've just always been someone, I'm not like someone that likes to be really served because I feel like, who am I? To be. So I give them the full amount of tip I could possibly
Yeah,
get.
I always give servers that's minimum 20%. So
Yep.
I don't mind doing that, and I'll even tip like takeout for certain
Oh
places.
yeah,
because
same here.
they
I
have
did,
to
like,
prepare
especially
the
through the
food.
pandemic.
Yeah,
I did 20%.
yeah.
On deliveries, on takeouts, on everything, because I'm like, you guys are working and you're helping me out feel safe and not have to go into a store. Like I am giving you the full. Like there was one time I think I gave $20 on something so small, but it was just like because I had it and I'm like, you know what, screw it. You know what?
Yeah.
It's like it was like it would have been like a $12. I'm like, I'm just rounding up 20. You guys saved me. I'm fine.
So it's not that I don't like to tip. It's just I don't think you should have to tip. Like that whole thing. And I've never worked in the food industry, so there might be people shouting at me or whatever.
Well, Julie has, so she could give a viewpoint if you ever want to know.
But to me, and I know like some servers can make great money off tips, right? But at some point, it just seems such a weird, arbitrary way to earn your living, where you're basically at the whim of what the customer wants to give you, like what the customer wants to pay you. And there's certain people that I know in my family that will pay like 10% on a tip on a waitress that busted her tail, refilling drinks every time you ask, bringing condiments every time you ask, and then they leave them 10% or whatever. And I'm like, that sucks. I mean, that whole model sucks. Like, why can't I just get paid a decent wage to begin with?
Right, because it's like they're working just as hard for everybody, and yet they don't get the same result out of it. Like, you work at a regular job, you get all the right, you do your good job, you're going to get paid consistently. Why shouldn't they? And
they're literally working below minimum wage, and the tip is making up for it. I mean, that's
and they tax it on there, so it's like it's not even like a really, like, it kind of takes away the spirit of it as well.
Yeah,
it's like
that. So that I kind of resent having to pay for, not because I don't want to pay it, it's because I don't think I should have to pay it, and I feel really bad the servers have to do it.
Yeah, they should be making a much better living wage, so the tip is actually an extra, like, hey, thanks for doing such a good job, and I can keep it all because you're being, it's like an extra thing. Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, there's one time I remember this goes back, and this is when Mark and I were in college, so it's not like we were like full working people at this point. And I remember we were at a diner, like going to the diners in the middle of the night, late at night after movies and stuff, or like big deal in Long Island, New York, because they were all open, 24 hours. And so I remember we were at a diner once, and we were we've had some food, and the couple behind us must have ordered, like, they had like one of these binges where they had like 12 appetizers and all this crazy stuff, and it was all over. And I remember the waitress was coming to, and this granted like 1:30 in the morning, no less. Okay, so usually the crowd is like, it's by that point it's like maybe a handful of people, but there's usually one person, so it was this one waitress on staff doing the whole restaurant, which is about, at that point, maybe 4 or 5 tables, but still, And I remember she had the people behind us said this whole thing, and she came over we were still finishing up, and she was collecting like their stuff, and she looked down and she just like goes, I don't believe it. And she was almost like in tears. They left her like a $2 tip on like a $90 bill or something like that. She was so upset, and I could tell. And she but she didn't want to like complain in front of us. So she just kind of said it, and we were like, she was like, we were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's like, yeah. She goes, it's, it happens every, and she kind of like tried to keep a brave face. So we figured out and left the additional tip that she should have got on our bill.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Just because I'm like this, I'm like, that's just the kind of people, I feel like I I always want to be. I don't want to ever let someone that does something for me like that feel unappreciated. And, so we made up for it. And I remember another situation too, that this is hilarious. This is back, I think we were still in high school at this point. We all went into the city, went to Planet Hollywood when it had just opened, I remember, and we were hanging out, and there's a bunch of us. This is way, obviously way before Venmo, all before things.
Yeah.
So, we all had cash and like, so anyway, we got this big bill, like there was 8 of us or 6 of us, something like that at the Planet Hollywood. So one of my friends who was like really good in math were like, okay, just tell us what we owe. And so he figures it out and he goes, okay, this is what we owe. We owe, all this. And so we're like, oh, okay. Now, granted, this bill was like $200 probably.
Yeah.
Right. So we give everyone chips in, and you're not thinking of it. I didn't think, I didn't think money terms at that point. I just figured someone told me what it costs. That's what I gave him. So then as we're walking out, the waitress comes up to him, and goes like, "That's here," and throws a $5 bill in his face. Thanks, really? That's all and threw it right in his face. We're like, what happened? He goes, I don't know. He totally figured out the bill and forgot the tip when he told everyone what we owed. So she ended up with like this $5 tip accidentally. And so we went over. We're like, we are so sorry. He said, we didn't realize we just everyone put in what was the bill. And we grabbed it back and gave her made up for it. But I was so mortified. I'm like, oh my God, this goes, even back then, I'm like, this goes against everything.
Yes.
I believe it.
I know.
It's like,
oh my gosh.
So it's funny. Yeah. So they're my 2 tipping stories, but I am a extremely I'm like Steve Martin. Remember he goes, it's over tipping. I actually believe in.
Yeah.
Hey, give me that pen again. Like in My Blue Heaven, which by the way is one of my favorite movies ever. That's such a great movie.
That's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. That is like Steve Martin at his best. So anyway, yeah. So yeah. So so I'm with you. I resent having to do that because I think they should have earned it no matter what. And the tip from us, I'd still give tips even if it wasn't required. But it would be nice because then they'd be getting the full
I don't feel like they're getting the full benefit of it.
Yeah, I want them to feel appreciated.
Brian, let's talk about season 6 because this is our last episode of the year. We will have our dismemberment in early January. Our first regular episode back will be in probably a week or 2 after that. But we already have a nice I won't say what yet, but we have an interview lined up. Hopefully coming up. We just got to finalize that for early January, one of those first early shows. I think you could definitely look forward to more roundtable discussions.
We have that one with Emily. It's going to be Tim, Emily, and I. We're going to go roundtable The Visitor,
which I
cannot wait for because that's going to be fun.
So definitely do more roundtables. If you guys have any suggestions for future roundtables for anybody, we'll definitely take those into consideration.
I think we need to do more scare battles. We need to get that back going.
Scare battles got to go.
Like I had that good one. The idea, I thought pieces versus torso
that'd be
would be a good one.
Yeah. Let's see what else we're gonna do. We definitely want to get back on the website bandwagon. I need to really figure that out. We still have the website. We still have the domain and everything. So I've got to. I kind of got to buckle down. Work's been just so crazy this year. It's been hard to really focus on that. But maybe over break out, Christmas break, I'll try to take a look at that and see what it's going to take to get that up and running. Because even if it's just a bare bones website, somewhere Brian and I could just kind of post our thoughts and updates to the show and that kind of stuff would be cool.
I also think I want to really possibly do maybe more videos on YouTube or on Instagram and maybe even TikTok, I guess. Yeah. But I also want to make sure we kind of get definitely kind of more like a specialty segments maybe to relook at again, like every once in a while kind of things, like I figure scare battle should become more regular. I think of us but then try and do like maybe some special one-off fun things, like maybe like some game shows or something, like one-off specialty things. I do want to get, speaking of videos, going back to that real quick, I definitely want to get a webcam. One of the primary reasons I haven't done a lot of video is I'd be forced to be doing it either on like my laptop, which is not ideal. It's a work laptop. It's not really, made for this kind of thing, or my phone, which is just cumbersome. So if I can get a decent webcam, we could even do like live stream shows. And I really want to get that going too. And even Brian, I was thinking we want to put more video content out there on YouTube. It doesn't necessarily have to be just stuff that we're filming ourselves doing. We could just like tonight, just recording this episode, we could just do it and just throw it out there. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff we could just throw out there video wise. Or one thing I've really wanted to do
is kind of combine the horror and board gaming stuff. I've got a ton of horror board games. Do a playthrough video of one of those, or a review video of one of those, and kind of be able to show the components, show the box, show the unboxing, all that.
It's like How to Game, or what's that one? Game to Game with Tim, though.
Yeah, but that would be cool content, I think, for our YouTube channel that we could easily do, and I think would be fun. I think it would rejuvenate me creatively to kind of just do some more stuff like that.
Yeah, and I want to also do possibly. I mean, I know we talked about when we had Trish Hirschberger on. Remember, we were talking about like trying to get our Twitch thing going, which didn't go anywhere from that point. But we should do that, because especially with that new Texas Chainsaw Massacre game coming out, that would be fun when we get our group going to play that, and we could say Cone's Leatherface. But yeah, maybe do that. I also do want to get some different merch in the store, different logos. I know we just have our regular logo. I kind of remember we teased we kind of wanted more of a kid friendly one, like that little more family friendly version of Civil Gore.
I'm considering actually changing our logo a little bit at some point, just to when we made that logo, I don't really like the guns on it, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah, the guns don't. I mean, it fits for the pun, but not really for the brand.
Yeah, times have changed over the last 5 years since we've done this podcast. At the time, it was very much all about just a play on the Civil War pun, and so that was why we had the rebel hat, the Union hat, and I stayed away from the Confederate flag. Even then, I knew not better than to put that on there.
Yeah,
so we didn't put that on there, but we still had the Confederate and Union skulls, and I had the guns just kind of as a cool like backdrop, because I thought I was kind of going for like a skull and crossbones, but instead of the bones, I used the like Civil War guns. But like nowadays, it just seems a little, I don't know, to me it seems a little tone deaf, I guess, especially with like in light of all the Confederate statues and stuff coming down. I don't know. I feel like I'm almost to the point where I'm like ready to just like pay somebody to do a new logo update, like a refresh.
Yeah. Of course, we have all these shirts now that will become null and void, but no, it's okay. I feel the same way. We should have it a little different, but and also in addition to that, I just want other like things, kind of based off like how Kim and Kat have some fun slogans. We definitely have some catchphrases on this show that could make a good shirt. Cody actually has a whole bunch. Remember, we were supposed to review those, so I have to put those in there too. She made some great designs for us and some funny slogans in there.
But anyway, I feel like
we do that.
I feel like I think we did a great job, like really accelerating our interviews and the quality of guests we got on. I think the roundtable was a brilliant like step forward with the show. Where I think we haven't done a great job is expanding the show, and I think to do that, to take it to that next level, is really going to require more video, getting our YouTube channel up to date, getting the website out there, and kind of like putting a little more effort into those areas. I think we did a great job with the interviews. I'm tickled pink with how the number and quality of guests we've gotten on the show. That's been amazing. But now I think it's time to take it that extra step, and that means expanding out with some new content.
Yeah, I agree. Well, especially I think if we do go to the HorrorCon, I think we need to do some stuff there. Definitely more video there. Maybe get some on the spot interviews, possibly, if we can work that. I don't know the rules. I gotta check into that. But just do more like live coverage of that show, so you don't have to hear us telling you about it. You can live it, and you can rewatch it back.
Yeah.
We can kind of go through and just kind of, in case someone holds court again, we can get it on video maybe.
Yeah. So if you guys have any suggestions for what you'd like to see in the show for season 6, please let us know. Again, I'm always taking movie suggestions. So if you guys have a movie you want us to cover, by all means, definitely send it in. Any suggestions for like show segments or things you like, things you want us to get rid of. Maybe you don't like certain aspects of the show that you're like, God, hey, I hate the triple threat. It sucks. I mean, just let us know, because we don't know. If we don't hear from you, we have no idea what you like and what you don't like.
I mean, the triple threat people seem to like it fun, but I see definitely the waning participation in the people guessing. Right. So I'm thinking like maybe that may be something we change up, like a new one to invigorate the participation. Because for a while, when that first came out, that was really big. Maybe we do something else for season 6. I mean, of course, we'll give you the answer to this one.
Yeah, no, we'll just leave it for the
You're
time.
getting at least one more segment just to answer it, at least. But yeah, I'm wondering another piece, like another kind of game at the end, what we could do. Like the triple threat is fun. I mean, it's definitely cool to do, but at the same time, it's like, it is getting a little stale. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we do like or do some other kind of version. What'd be actually cool is we could get maybe like some kind of like kind of like a like maybe one of those fun like things you see on the internet where they're like, describe a movie badly in 6 words, or or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
like
And
a
you have to
twist on
guess
that
it,
where we say something, you got to guess what we're talking about based off of that. One thing we definitely have to put more of, and I don't care if people like it or not. This is for us. We need to do more of the Civil Gore theater,
Yes,
like we did for Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, we'll have to find something. We'll have to find the right scenes. But yeah, we definitely need to do more of that.
Yeah, because that was so much fun.
I'm particularly excited about the video. I think the video would be the biggest increase in numbers because I think video is just such a big thing. Like a YouTube channel and stuff is so big for getting awareness out there now of podcasts. So that to me, I'm really excited about. I think that's something that's going to really boost us up if we can get even semi-regular content. The podcast gets published on YouTube if you guys don't know, but it's of course audio only, so you're not getting to see our pretty faces.
Yeah.
And
I'm wondering, it's like Cody had brought up Patreon. She goes, "Well, is this year you go to Patreon?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, we don't really have plans for Patreon. Not that I definitely don't knock it. I think it's one of the best things out there. It's just, what it is like, I don't want to. I feel like it's like, with the way our schedule is, it's tough enough to manage the show than worry about trying to run a Patreon and kind of make sure we guarantee certain things every month.
Well,
yeah,
Kevin. I mean, of course, Kevin's podcast. I've talked to him about Patreon quite a bit, and his feedback was, "Yeah, it's awesome that you have money coming in to help offset the show costs, which we don't have right now. I mean, we're paying all this out of our pocket." He said that piece of it is incredible because and you could even at some point you could save up, get new microphones, make audio quality better. He said all that stuff is great, but he said it is a whole nother level of additional work that you're putting on the production of the show because you have to make sure you're providing those perks because now you got people paying money for it and you've got to provide that stuff. And he said it really does add an extra layer of stress. And I don't feel like we're at that. I don't feel like the show's at the level that I would feel comfortable asking people to pay, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know what perks I would give to say it's worth $5 a month or $10 a month. You guys might disagree that are out there listening. Go, oh my God, I would gladly pay $5 or whatever. But just me personally, I don't know what those perks would be that I would feel comfortable that they're not going to add so much workload that they'd be worth it.
Yeah, I think actually one of the greatest models of Patreon is the first one I've ever experienced in the Coaster Radio version. They're pretty much is pretty simple. It's like they do stuff for the show. Like if you hit a certain level, they'll start meetups, which they did. They started, you get your name read at the end of the month, at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that doesn't require a lot of effort.
And then for the executive producers, you get the meet and greet, monthly meet at the, the Google chat, like something like that. Like that's doable. Mm-hmm. But even then, it's like I'm like, do we have the kind of, like, do we really want it? Like, would that be something anyone was willing to pay for? I mean,
yeah, I know. Well, it's one of those things. I think I would feel better.
I mean, look, I'm dropping things live on the air, so it's like, really, is that an extra thing someone wants?
I think I'd feel better about it once we had like a video presence established. YouTube presence established. We had a website,
right? Because we're not even familiar with how to do half of that stuff.
Yeah,
in terms of like the really cool like live stuff.
Yeah, if we could do live shows, I would feel better about having Patreon. So if we had a website, I'd feel better about it. So that's one of those things I feel like we got to get to that next level. Spend like a year at that next level, and then I might reconsider it. So that's where we're at with that.
Because, I mean, it's like, I mean, not that, like, I mean, our costs are minimal, really, per month. It's, to me, we love doing the show so much. So it's like, to me, that's like almost like, I gladly pay for the small amount. Like, you pay the hosting fee. I pay the website hosting fee. I mean, it's really minimal charges we pay. I mean, granted, yeah, we bought the mics, but other than that, that's not much of a overhead, that we have to pay for here. But like, yeah, would it be nice that, like, because I probably, once we do the video, I think I'm going to buy a new video software editing thing. But that, I know the one I want. It's usually around $80.
Yeah, there's some stuff. There's stuff we'd like to have. Like, I'd love to have a Rodecaster, which would make my editing easier. But those are like $500. And then I'd love to have. We've talked in the past, Brian, about, oh man, wouldn't it be great if we had like the software to do live streams and this and that, and we could, do different things. Like, that stuff would that's like costs we haven't invested in yet. That would be nice to have that money to be able to do that, but we just haven't done it because that's all out of pocket stuff. So that's the kind of thing. Any Patreon money, we would definitely start putting towards stuff like that. Yeah, that would be it. I mean, definitely nothing. I mean, I can't imagine like what kind of meet thing would we do? Like, you're not gonna have. It's not like a theme park meetups are a lot easier to swing than what are we gonna meet at? Like the horror cons or Yeah, I guess you have to meet at the horror con, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but like, really, are we going to be able to get? We would never be able to get enough people to come to meet us like that. It's like, I can't imagine. I mean, shoot, I don't care. Like, if we're there, we tell people we're there. Hey, come and find us. We'll hang out. You know? It's like,
yeah. Have a fantastic holiday. Brian and I, like we said, are going to take a little bit of a break. We'll be back in January. We will have our January disc memberment on January 4th, I believe, is the first Tuesday. So. You will have that coming up. We'll have our normal episode a week or two after that. We'll keep you posted on social media exactly what our plans are, because Brian's got some travel plans. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be around, but of course, with all the holiday stuff, the kids are out of school for 3 weeks this year. Wow. So I'm going to be busy dealing with family. So that's where.
Plus, I think you may have to go fix that pond yourself. It sounds.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So yeah, so we'll it's gonna be a nice little break. I think it's gonna like refresh us for the season 6, especially with all the new plans we have in place. Yeah. So I think it'll be a worthwhile break. But yeah, again, don't stop communicating. If you guys have ideas, keep sending them in, because we're gonna be reading all those emails over the break and discussing behind the scenes, texting back and forth. I mean, Brian and I will be in constant communication even over that break. So we will definitely be making plans the entire time.
Yeah, we can't quit each other.
No, we can't. We can't.
But yeah, so, and well, of course, follow social media, because anything we go do horror related, in our travels or just normal everyday, then we'll post and stuff. So
yeah. All right, guys. Well, take care. Have a wonderful holiday. Spend some great time with your family. Take some time off of work, and we will see you back here next year.